Let me ask you something directly. If a company makes billions of dollars from a product, and that product kills hundreds of thousands of people, is that a failure? Or is that a successful business model? Because what you're about to hear is not a conspiracy. It's not speculation. It's not opinion. It's documented history. Today, we're talking about Purdue Pharma, the Sackler family, and how one of the deadliest drug crises in modern history was engineered, marketed, and legally survived. This isn't about blaming addicts. This isn't about blaming doctors. And it's not about emotional outrage. This is about how money moves when morality is optional. And if you think this story doesn't affect you, you're wrong. Because this is the blueprint. Purdue Pharma didn't invent opioids. What they perfected was how to sell them. In the mid-1990s, Purdue released OxyContin, a powerful, long-acting opioid. But here's the key detail. They didn't market it as dangerous. They didn't market it as addictive. They marketed it as safe, low risk of addiction, suitable for chronic, long-term pain. Not just cancer patients, not just end-of-life care, everyday pain, back pain, work pain, life pain. And they didn't whisper this message. In just 1 year, 2001, Purdue spent over $200 million aggressively promoting OxyContin to doctors. Sales reps were trained not to discuss addiction risks honestly. Doctors were reassured. Prescriptions exploded. And here's the psychological trick. If a doctor believes something is safe, the patient never questions it. This wasn't accidental. This was strategy. This is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because the Sackler family didn't invent this strategy with OxyContin. Decades earlier, Arthur Sackler helped turn Valium into one of the most prescribed and abused drugs in America. He helped redefine normal stress as a medical condition. He pushed the idea that everyday discomfort required medication. And it worked. Valium became a billion-dollar drug. It also became a quiet epidemic. Arthur Sackler pioneered techniques that still dominate big pharma today. Direct-to-doctor persuasion, sponsored independent research, paid experts, selective data presentation, marketing framed as education. Even fake doctors were once used in advertisements. And when exposed, the industry didn't collapse, it adapted. By the time OxyContin arrived, the playbook was refined. Let's talk numbers. Because numbers don't lie. OxyContin generated around $35 billion in revenue. The Sackler family's wealth peaked at $13 to $14 billion. And as lawsuits began to appear, something interesting happened. Between 2008 and 2018, before Purdue declared bankruptcy, the Sacklers quietly withdrew over $10 billion from the company. That money didn't sit in a checking account. It moved through offshore trusts, holding companies, tax havens. By the time the public understood the damage, most of the money was already gone. Museums had their donations. Universities had their buildings. The brand had been cleaned until it couldn't be anymore. And yet, even after settlements, even after outrage, even after deaths, the family remained multi-billionaires. Here's the part most people don't understand. Purdue Pharma pleaded guilty twice. The company was punished, but no Sackler family member went to prison. Why? Because corporate guilt does not automatically equal personal guilt. Because bankruptcy law can shield individuals. Because settlements can be structured to protect wealth. Because consent can be engineered when legal alternatives are impossible. This is the system working exactly as designed. In 2025, a $7.4 billion settlement was approved. Victims received compensation, often just thousands of dollars. States received funds for treatment and prevention. Purdue was dissolved. A new non-profit entity was formed. And the Sacklers, they paid overtime. They kept international assets. They avoided criminal charges. Legally, this wasn't justice. It was resolution. And those are not the same thing. So here's the real question. If a system allows this, if it rewards this, if it repeats this, is the problem the company, or is it the structure that makes this profitable? This channel is not about motivation. It's not about envy. And it's not about outrage for clicks. It's about understanding power. Because once you see how the system actually works, you can never unsee it. And this was only one company. This was Mind, Matter, Money, where we examine how power really operates.